Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Toronto producer, pianist, and keyboardist Todd Pentney of HiFiLo. We interviewed him on May 30th, 2020 during the COVID-19 early phases to discuss his new debut CD called HiFiLo, Speak Your Language. His music merges contrasting genres seamlessly into a unique singular sound by showcasing a mixture of modern production with live performance and improvisations. The project harnesses the colors of vintage synths and electro-mechanical keyboards to create an intricate tapestry of sound inspired by the likes of Prince, Stevie Wonder, Radiohead, Bill Evans, the Beach Boys, and Keith Jarrett. That's a great mix of sounds. It's true. It was a great talk. Enjoy.
Well, speaking of, I guess, since that's kind of the topic now before we get into your latest album, talk to me a little bit about, say, early to mid-March when you started realizing that there was going to be a world shutdown and no live jazz.
Man, a lot of things go through your head, and I think, I'll have days where I don't get anything done, and I just kind of don't want to do anything. I don't feel like doing anything. And then I'll have 3 or 4 days where I'm super productive, and then it kind of goes in waves like that, back and forth. I think that's the problem with being self-motivated. And the stuff that initially went through my head was just kind of what do I have to do? Like, what am I going to change here? Because all the gigs are being canceled. It all happened in like one day. I got, 5 emails in one day that was like, this gig's canceled, this gig's canceled. And it's kind of like, okay, I got to figure something out here. So I kind of decided to switch my focus to production. And that's what I've been doing over the quarantine, which kind of is how I made the electronic album anyways. So it's good to still be able to focus on music by yourself during this time, for sure.
Well, and that's the thing, too. You have an album that's coming out during the quarantine, the HiFiLo, Speak Your Language. Talk to me a little bit about, from an artistic perspective, this project, and then also the notion that you're releasing it during a time where people have more time to listen to music, but you can't back it up live.
From what I've heard, like a lot of streams are actually down right now because of commute times being down. Like streams are actually getting played less because a lot of people listen when they're in the car, when they're going somewhere, or when they're in transit. So that's kind of interesting to me. And so what was the second part of your question?
Well, I was just wondering, from an artistic perspective, what you were going for with this, and just the fact that you can't back this up live, which is traditionally what you do to move the product and to back it up.
Yeah, well, I guess like electronic music kind of appeals to that anyways. Like a lot of produced music, might not translate that well to live anyways. It sort of just exists in its recorded form. And that's kind of how I see a lot of this music. I am going to try to figure out how to make that translate to some kind of a live show that will involve, actually playing the piano and playing the keyboard parts, because that's what I did before this. I was a full-time piano player, so that'd be kind of nice to be able to incorporate that into the electronic world for sure.
This is your debut. Is it bittersweet coming out during this time, or is it, it's going to come out when it comes out?
I guess it's a little bittersweet. You put a lot of time into these things, and then it comes out, and it's like, that's it. Let's move on now. But I'm going to start working on the next one pretty soon, actually, because I have all this time. So I might as well stay productive.
So let's talk about your beginnings. Talk to me about kind of where you were born and raised and kind of how music became a part of your life.
Sure. I grew up in a smaller town in Ontario, northwestern Ontario, called Thunder Bay. And it's a smaller-ish city. It's sort of the smallest place in the middle of nowhere. It's about 300,000 people. And I kind of started practicing the piano around the age of 5. I sort of messed around on my own for a bit, which I think was really important, just to kind of play around with the instrument. My sister was always messing around with the piano too, so that, kind of caught my ear and got me interested. And then I sort of got interested. I took classical studies all the way up to age 13, and then got interested in playing jazz and found a teacher in Thunder Bay. And then from there, I kind of just knew there was a certain point around the age of, 13 or 14, where I kind of knew that this is probably what I was going to do, because I just really liked it. I really enjoyed it. And I moved to Toronto to study in college. I went to Humber College here in Toronto, and from there it was kind of just like a forward trajectory. I kind of was just like, I got to stay here. I'm not going to move back to Thunder Bay. I got to live in the bigger city, and try to make this work. And I've been here for 15 years now.
Talk to me a little bit about mentors. Who really helped you along the way, gave you advice that really still resonates now with you?
Yeah, there were some really good teachers at Humber, for sure, that were, really encouraging and just kind of said the right thing at the right time to you when, you're starting to feel down. When you're practicing, that many hours a day, you inevitably get really in your own head. And sometimes all it takes is, someone you look up to kind of let you know that you're on the right track. And there are certainly a handful of teachers at Humber that did that for me. And before that too, even being younger, there were some mentors around me that were kind of really, gracious with their time with me and were able to kind of foster my development at a young age. So I've been fortunate, I feel, throughout my whole life, that there's been people there to kind of give me that little boost when I need it.
What do you like the best about making and producing music?
I guess it's the form of it's the form of expression that I really like, and I think it's really cool to be able to put something out there. So in the live context, I just think it's super cool to be able to put a sound out there with a band or by yourself and just have that kind of out there, and that's it. Like, it's done and people can experience it. And then in the recorded sense, I think it's really cool to have captured a moment that's really, specifically what you were looking for. And, that can be experienced over and over again. I think it's the creative process that I like the most, just being able to put things out there for other people to enjoy.
We're going to get back to live music eventually, and when we do, what do you hope both the musician and the audience realizes about this time away?
I think people are going to, I think the pace is going to be a bit slower, at least here in Toronto when people go back, because I think people are going to have a newfound respect for doing things. Last week, I haven't really been leaving the house that much because we're supposed to be quarantining. And last week, I had a friend who really needed my help moving. So it was, okay, I'll come out, and we wore masks and tried to do it in the most social distancing way. But on my way out there, just driving to his house, I was really excited just to do anything, just to go somewhere. And it was kind of, man, this is fun. I'm just driving somewhere to help someone move. So that made me realize, when gigs start up again, I'm probably going to appreciate them a lot more, just doing anything, even if it's a small gig that maybe before I wasn't as thrilled about doing. Now just doing anything seems like a thrill.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. So let me ask you a question. Everyone has a perception of you. Your family, your friends, your fans, but you're the one living your life. Who do you think you are?
Oh, that's a big question. I think I just want to be, I mean, it's like who I am or who I want to be, like I think who I want to be is just a good person that, supports people around him and helps foster creativity in my community, and, just tries to support the friends around him and make music and just, be gracious and kind through the whole process. That's who I want to be. It doesn't always turn out that way, unfortunately, but that's kind of what I strive to be, for sure.
Right on. Hey, man, thank you for taking some time out today to talk about the debut and your life in music in this very strange world we're in now. I appreciate it.
Joe, I really appreciate you having me on the show. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest cats in Toronto, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Todd for his time, music, and stories. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino on the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.